So we're going to talk about frequency modulation. Similar to amplitude modulation, there's a regular instrumental and electronic technique that this is related to. So first we're going to talk about vibrato. So in this patch, I have an oscillator here that's being controlled by this structure above it. And so we have a signal with a frequency, and we have an oscillator, a low frequency oscillator, being multiplied by an amplitude multiplier, and we're adding that together. This oscillator is going to increase and decrease the frequency of this oscillator. And this value is going to give the middle frequency for this oscillator. So since a sine wave has positive and negative amplitudes, we're adding to this value as the sine wave increases and subtracting from it as this goes below 0. And then this multiplier, controlled by this number, determines how much higher and how much lower we go. So let's listen to that. So we hear a gentle vibrato. It's going 4 hertz above and 4 hertz below 600 hertz. Similarly to amplitude modulation, so this value is controlling the depth of that. So now we're going 15 hertz above and 15 hertz below 600. So we're going up to 615 and down to 585 at the moment. So now we can really hear the contour of that sine wave. And the frequency of that sine wave is 2 hertz. So this is happening twice per second. Now, similar to an amplitude modulation operation, we transition from a vibrato to a sound that adds sidebands to this frequency. So let's check out this patch. This is the exact same patch, except the modulator signal here is starting at 90, and the index, that's that multiple of how much higher and how much lower than the carrier frequency is the modulation going to go. So instead of twice a second, we're doing 90 per second. And instead of starting at 4 in terms of our index, we're starting at 60. So we can change the modulator frequency, the index, and the carrier frequency. So here's that sound for the default values here that we've set: 90, modulator, index of 60, a carrier of 600 hertz. So when the modulator is low, we have a vibrato effect. Generally with vibrato, we have a lower index than that as well. So let's hear what happens as we transition this from a vibrato to a typical FM sound. So we have sidebands here, and the way we determine sidebands in frequency modulation is different from amplitude modulation. We'll set this to a value that'll make it easy to calculate. So right now, we have a carrier spaced out at the modulator frequency is the sidebands that start to appear. So we have a sideband at 400, we have a sideband at 200, we have a sideband at 0, and then also above 600 at this interval. 800, 1000, 1200, and so on. And those extend out infinitely on either side. With a low index, the strongest sidebands will be at 400 and 800, because those are 200 on either side of the 600 value. And as the index increases, we start to hear more sidebands. So with a low index, the further the sideband away is from the carrier frequency, the weaker it is, and those start to increase and become more audible as the index increases.